So good morning, everyone. We're going to get started promptly at 9:30. That's 4 minutes from now. So if you want, go get your coffee, tea, settle down. Okay, good morning, Sabina. Gotcha. Good morning, Mr. Lawrence. You can let Delcy in. Good morning, Celia.
Who's Spencer Silverman? Oh, never mind.
That's
Mr. Silverman. That's
Leonard.
District 2. Leonard.
Oh, Leonard. Okay.
Good morning, Delcy. Thank you for coming. Do you need to share your screen?
No.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning, Marie Rodriguez. Good morning. Thank you for coming. Do you need to share your screen?
Good morning. No, I don't think so.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us and having us on.
Our pleasure. Thank you for coming. Okay, so it's good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to Cpac monthly meeting. We are going to start off right away with the roll call. We're going to go out of order today. District 20. District 20. There's people in the waiting room. Okay. District 19.
Yes.
District 18.
74.
We're gonna ask everybody who's not to mute themselves. Thank you. 18, you said you were present?
19.
I got 19. District 18? District 17? District 16?
Oh, District 2 is here.
We didn't do 2. We're going out of order today. We didn't get to you yet, Leonard. District 16? District 15? District 14. District 13. District 12. District 11. District 10. District 30. District 30. I think I saw it.
Yes, I'm here, District 30, Ana Ramirez.
District 29. Bay Bridge homeowners, that's Francis. Could you let her in, please? District 28, Jessica, I saw you. District
87.
Someone is speaking. Please mute yourself, please. District 27, we saw her earlier, but I don't know if she came back. District 26. Thank you. District 25. That's Francis.
Here, I just
District-
gotta rename myself.
Uh-huh. District 24. District 24. District 23.
Good morning.
Good morning, Josh. 22. District 22.
Good morning.
Good morning. District 21.
Morning.
Good morning. District 10. District 10. District 9. District 9. This people in the waiting room. District 8. I saw it.
Good morning, President.
Morning. District 7. Lisa, I got you. District 27. District 7. Nope. Luis, I have you. District 6 is here. District 5.
Here.
Thank you. Aisha. District 4. District 4. Okay. Louis, I got you. I see your message. District 3.
Here.
Thank you, Jimmy. Leonard, I know you're here. That's District 2.
here.
District 1. District 1. All right. So Staten Island.
Present.
You. Queens is present. Manhattan, Mr. Lawrence, I saw him. He's here. Brooklyn is here. Celia.
Present.
Bronx.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Present.
Bronx is here. District 75. District 75.
He's running a little late.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's not here yet though. District 32. 32. Jazzy's here. How about
No, Madam Chair. No.
How about District 31?
Present.
Yes,
Thank you.
she is here. And Madam Chair, let the record show that Marta Torres, District 16. Tamara Stern, District 20.
Yeah, I have her.
And there
Anyone else?
was one more, District 27. Ms.
Yes, I
Cooper
got
Johnson.
Lisa. I got her.
Okay.
So I'm going to go one more time. 18, 17, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, and 24.
17 is here. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Districts 10, 9, 7, and 1.
10 is here. She has her hand raised.
Thank you.
District 29, Ms.
29.
Canaria Aubrey. Yes.
She's here.
And
Thank
and
you.
District 4 just came in.
Also here.
I skipped 21.
I said District 4 is here.
Okay, I got her. All right, and the other one is 32. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone for coming, for being punctual. It's Women's History Month. We hope we are celebrating continuously every day, not just in the month of March, the fabulous, wonderful women that we have around the world. For those basketball fans, it's actually, it's March Madness. I know that's a big event in a lot of our schools, especially the high schools. So again, it's March 10th. It's Thursday. It's our virtual meeting of our monthly meeting. We have our board members. And at this time, we're going to have our parliamentarian, Miss Marie Plaisir, to read the Cpac meeting procedures and standing rules. You have the floor, Marie.
Yes, thank you.
Who took off the share screen?
Looks like the document. Hold on. Okay, here we are. Cpac meeting procedures and standing rules. Good morning, everyone, to our voting members and our guests. So to ensure that our Cpac meetings are ran smoothly, fairly, and as well in compliance with our Cpac's bylaws, we ask that you respect the following procedures and adaptations. Please do not speak until recognized by the chairperson, who will be assisted in managing the meeting by a parliamentarian. Please limit your comments or questions to 2 minutes to ensure that we have the maximum participation by the greatest number of representatives. The parliamentarian will be monitoring the time allotted. Remember that the order of speakers per our bylaws is A, the executive board, B, the voting members, C, non-voting members, and if there is time and if they are recognized by the co-chairs and assisted by the parliamentarian. We want to make sure that we hear from as many people as possible during the course of the meeting. Therefore, there'll be times when we do not call on someone who has just spoken. Please understand this is an attempt at fairness. All voting members have first sitting preference at the table and virtually when we're on Zoom. Membership must be clearly identified by displaying the membership identification plaque when we are in person, and their district number by renaming themselves. On the Zoom participant listing, it has to reflect the district that you represent. Please know that if the president is not present at the table when we're in person and or on Zoom, the designee is the voted representative for that district and is able to vote on matters of the membership. Alternates must have written notice from the President's Council's president or the designee, or an email sent to Cpac at info@cpacnyc@gmail.com, indicating they can speak and vote on behalf of their districts. For the purpose of voting on any Cpac business, only the voting member or the designee of your district who is eligible to vote shall be seated at the table and or virtually on Zoom. For additional information on meeting rules and procedures, please refer to Cpac's bylaws, which is available upon request. A copy is available on the website at
Thanks so much, Desmond.
www.cpacnyc.com.
You understand me. We just met, but you get me.
Robert's
done.
Rule of Order, newly revised, the RNR for short, is the parliamentary authority used to govern unless it's inconsistent with these bylaws. Madam Chair Albin.
Thank you very much, Ms. Blazier. So, summary, please wait till you're recognized. Be courteous of everyone else. The time allotted to speak or ask your question is 2 minutes. Again, the speaking order, if you've spoken before, please don't get offended if we call somebody else first who has not spoken. At this time, I am going to pass over to Ms. Gray to discuss the new meeting format.
Thank you, Shirley. So, good morning, everyone. Just wanted to share that the structure of Cpac meetings has changed beginning today, and we will have themes at every meeting to change the narrative from a Q&A with Chancellor Banks to actually serving in our capacity as advisors to the Chancellor. So the purpose of this change is to allow Cpac voting members from across the city to have a role in advising the Chancellor and current and future policy changes. So this will allow us to serve a better purpose than just asking questions and receiving answers. So we asked to have a seat at the table, and now that we've been given one, we'd like to have an open dialogue with Chancellor Banks and his cabinet to share our ideas, suggestions regarding policies that will help our children reach their full potential. So the first theme is summer 2022. And we'd like to thank all Cpac representatives, Deputy Chancellor Quinta Lloyd, Executive Director Dr. Cristina Melendez, and Jesse Mojica for working together during the over the break to give input and advise on what this year's summer program should look like. So everyone should have received the document listing our concerns and solutions, and Chancellor Banks has received it as well. And when he joins the meeting, we will have a discussion. Also, please make sure that you fill out the questionnaire each month so that we could prioritize themes for upcoming meetings. We want everyone's voice to be heard, and that questionnaire will help lift everyone's voice. Thank you, and I will give the floor back to Shirley.
Okay, so our agenda, we did the roll call. We're going to go through Cpac business and updates. We're going to be followed by FACE updates. Then we have Deputy Chancellor of Teaching and Learning, Carolyn Quintana, followed by Chancellor Banks, and our UFT Parent and Community Liaisons. So at this time, everybody receive a copy of the minutes. Please take time to just review it real quick so we can adopt them. Buying any questions and concerns? Anyone who'd like to make a motion? I see there's raised hands here. Hold on. Lourdes, you have your hands up?
Yeah, I'd like to motion to adopt the minutes of meetings for February.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to second that motion?
D24 seconds.
Thank you. So, barring any anyone who are against adopting the minutes? All right, our minutes has been adopted. So next on the table is the letter to Chancellor Banks about the lack of parent voice, high school voice. Everyone got take a time and read what the letter has. Anybody has any questions regarding this document? Feel free to raise your hands and ask a question at this time. The letter details on the imbalance of high school parent voices versus the rest of the school community, and to come up with a structure. And I already know that the Chancellor had made Mr. Blackburn the Deputy Chancellor of Leadership. So this is part of the discussions about high schools will fall under his division. At this time, anyone who would like to make a motion to adopt the letter?
I motion that we accept the letter. We adopt the letter.
That is District 3. Thank you. Anyone who would like to second that? Brooklyn High Schools?
I second that motion.
Thank you so much. Thanks for raising your hands. So, barring any objections, our letter to the Chancellor regarding lack of high school voices is approved. Now we're going to go into things to remember. I know there's a lot of parents who like to have further instructions. Again, with that monthly survey, it has a second point. If you want to do specific topics on training, please fill training on certain topics that affects PAPTAs and President's Councils. Please feel free and please fill it out. There's a few who did actually fill it out. So we like to remind everyone that, our PAPTAs and President's Councils are autonomous, and principals and parent coordinators are not part of the membership, and it's only parents who can preside over PAPTA meetings and elections. PAPT notice must be given in advance to the school so they can send it out within the 10-day notice. You have to give the school enough time to receive and review and send it out, so it'd be at least 10 days notice for the meeting. So, and please, the meeting dates for the PAPTAs and President's Councils are dictated by your bylaws. President's Council and PAPTAs are for their membership, but they are open to the public. But the public can attend these meetings, but only as observers. The public must obtain permission for whoever is presiding over the meeting to participate or speak on President's Council PAPTA matters. Usually the guest speakers or presenters are allowed to participate, but that will be up to individual President's Councils and PAPTAs to make that determinations. And then another point, the last point to remember, elections can only be in person or virtual this spring. Membership should be driving that decision, how elections should be held. And keep in mind, as President's Councils, we are here to support our PAPTA members and remind them that that is this time of the year is spring. We are upon spring elections. I'm going to have Randy talk about nominating committee and elections.
Thank you, Shirley. So it is the role and responsibility of President's Councils across the city to support PAs and PTAs in their respective districts and boroughs. So now that spring elections are upon us, it's our role to assist PAs and PTAs in holding successful elections for the 2022-2023 school year. So during the month of March and April, President's Councils should be hosting nominating committee workshops for the PAPTAs in their district and borough to support and share best practices for elections. So if you should need assistance, please work with your FLC, FSC, and Cpac. Nominating committees should be formed at regularly scheduled PAPTA President's Council meetings. School staff are unable to serve on the nominating committee. So for schools who are unable to form a committee, President's Council should be the first point of contact in supporting them by running their elections. In the event that President's Council is unable to support them during a particular date and time, since we all know that multiple schools hold elections on the same day and time, then the FLC and FSC should be contacted for support. And if both President's Council, FLC and FSC are unable to assist in the election, the FLC or FSC should contact the school-based liaison for at base for support. So only a parent who has a child currently enrolled at the school or in the district can run spring elections or expedited elections. There are no honorary members or alumni that are permitted to run elections, and DOE staff in schools and districts are not allowed to run elections. If a parent is employed in the school or district they work in, they are ineligible to run elections, run for a position on the executive board, or vote as a parent. You have to remember that the principal must be notified in writing of the date, time, and format elections will be held by April 1st, and the superintendent must be notified of the same by June 1st. If the PTA has not set a date, an election date by May 1st, then the principal must notify the appropriate superintendent. And if President's Council elections are not completed by June 30th, the superintendent will provide necessary assistance to ensure that President's Council elections are completed by September 30th. So although in-person and virtual are the only options for hosting elections, we are encouraging all President's Councils and PAPTAs to host them virtually due to the fact that the vaccine mandate is still in effect, and holding elections in person would exclude parents from running for a position since they're unable to enter the school building. So all parents with a child currently enrolled in the school and district are eligible to run for a position on the executive board, whether they're vaccinated or not. A parent who is graduating out of the school, 5th, 8th, or 12th grade, can run elections, but cannot run for a position on the executive board, even if they have an incoming child entering in September, because that child is currently not enrolled and not on the register. And for SLT and Title I elections, parents who are DOE employees in the school their child attends cannot hold a position or vote in the SLT and Title I elections. And PA, PTA presidents and President's Council presidents are unable to fill the position of Title I chairperson or alternate, but they can be a member of the Title I PAC or DPAC. So we just touched on some of the things that you should know and be prepared for. If anyone would like a more in-depth discussion or training regarding elections, we can either create a doodle poll to see if it's necessary that enough members are interested in training, or we could do a one-on-one. Okay.
Thank you, Randy. Randy, could you just answer? There's a question in the chat. For virtual and in-person, can a nominating committee be one person?
It can be one person. It's easier if it's more than one person. If you have someone at least doing the tech part in the background, you could ask a parent member to help you, whether they're taking the minutes or just watching the chat to make sure that you're not missing anything.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we're going to go right into our working group and meeting updates. So the first working group we're going to go to have an update on the A655 working group. I'm going to give it right back to you, Randy.
Thank you, Shirley. So the A655 working group met as a whole. We had broken up into subgroups, so we've been meeting as smaller groups. So we came together as a whole to review this, what we all added and put it together in one document. And we're in the process of reviewing more sections. So like we've said at previous meetings, if you have anything that you'd like to add, please email Cpac so your voice can be heard as well. Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you. Roundtable conversation. I know that was on pause. Lourdes has her hands up. Yeah, what is your, I just saw your hands up, Lourdes. Do you have?
Yeah, yes, Madam Chair, I'm sorry. There was a question for clarification from Francis. She says something about, I thought that guidance changed to currently attending to student register at school. Can someone?
And then she says, thank you. I think she got her answer.
So in order to run for a seat, you have to have a child currently attending the school. Registered attending is, I'm sorry, maybe the language is different, but it's the same thing. So if your child is registered at the school they're currently attending, you can run for a seat, but it has to be current. It can't be an incoming pre-K parent because they're not technically registered until September.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Lourdes. Roundtable conversation. I know it was put on pause, but anyone who was part of that group can give an update. I don't think it started back up yet, but please confirm. Jimmy, Jessica?
It hasn't started yet, so we don't know when. It's on pause for right now.
Awesome. Since you're talking, Jimmy, or Marie and Jessica, and I believe Celia, the equity working group. Marie, you want to talk to? Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. So with the Equity Council have been on a pause, and the attempt was to get back to work that was left, that was unfinished. As it stands right now, there was just a preliminary conversation and discussion about defining the purpose of the Equity Council, and also the members that would be part of it, and also deciding upon the structure of the Equity Council being in place. As everyone know, previously, the new regulations on code of conduct, the D210, actually stemmed from the Equity Council, but members at work on that comprised of CEC members, Cpac members, and as well as other community members. So right now is just really restarting to really defining the role, the purpose, the responsibilities of that Equity Council, and how do we go from there. As I said, it has been at a pause since the D210 came out and was approved by the PEP. So now there would be other conversation coming forth, and other to really clearly defining the set roles and responsibilities. And that's where we are at right now. And also trying to pick back up on policies that we started speaking of, but also around language access, but more so language justice. More so language justice. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Marie. Celia, Brooklyn High Schools, you have your hands up?
No, I just wanted to say I wasn't ignoring you. I was having technical difficulties, but Marie gave an excellent presentation.
No problem.
Thank you.
I know you weren't. Thank you. And the citywide CEP template meeting, I'll give that update. The last meeting we had was actually going over the draft version of 2022-2023 CEP template. We was going over section by section what it would look like, and having discussions in regards to next school year's CEP template. So now we're going to have Aisha from District 5 to give us the Citywide Community Education Council Elections Working Group update.
Good morning. At our meeting, we discussed, the only thing we actually discussed was the candidate application. We discussed the technical issues that we had with it. We talked about how some parents actually applied under their spouse's name, which caused some confusion. We talked about how some parents applied under, let's say, their government name, but they were actually known in their community by their, let's say, either middle name or their nickname, which caused some confusion when it came time to voting. We talked to work around that. We talked about NICSA accounts and how important it was to get the word out to parents, and not just using parent coordinators, how ineffective in some districts that was. The next meeting is actually Monday, and we're just going to be discussing voting in that meeting. We are working on how we can, even though we stopped talking about applications, we are not finished with that because there are issues with like people not putting in statements, even though DOE can't force people to put in statements. We're still looking at that on how we can work that. And it might just be a media communications issue with people that are running so they understand how important a statement is when you put it in there and how important it is to come to forums. But that's what we're working on. So like I said, Monday we'll start when we meet, we will be talking about voting. So that's where we're at with that. And we'll be meeting twice a month, at least for the next 3 months. So
thank you so much. Mm-hmm. So thank you for everybody updating our membership of what's going on in these working groups or teams so much. So everyone was, the bylaws that were updated and modified for January 25th are signed and was distributed to anyone. It will be put on the website. We met with DC Lloyd, which most of us, it was about 25 members who actually took time out during the winter break, which was on the 23rd, to discuss summer 2022. We met with Chancellor Banks on March 2nd in person when he released the bold vision, his bold vision for New York City public schools, and we thanked them for the invitation in person. Cpac Wellness Health and Safety Committee sign up form is on the website. There's a Google form was created. I think that was shared with the meeting documents, but if not, it is posted on the website. What also is also posted and was shared with membership was the live stream coordinator. So anyone who would like to apply for that appointed position, feel free to do so, and the membership have received that Google form, so please share it with your membership. We would like to, if everybody knows by now, Monday was March 7th, and the removal of the mask mandate for New York Public City Schools for grades K to 12. So the masks are now optional, and we would like to take the Chancellor and the Mayor and his team to send out the message that it's optional and to respect people's decisions, not to make fun of them. So we're very happy and pleased with that. And remember, it is a choice. It's a personal choice, and we should not criticize whatever choice other individuals make if it's opposite from ours, especially the children. Okay, some of the members, this is the last topic we want to speak about. Some of the members had asked that we need to have a discussion about equity at the expense of academics. This comment was made a couple of meetings ago, I believe, but some of the membership would like to have a discussion about that, about being equitable. Does it really, is at the expense of quality education, of academics? Equality and equity aren't the same. So while we'd like to open the floor for discussion, I'm going to ask Brooklyn High Schools to start that conversation, if she doesn't mind.
I do not mind, Madam Chair. I was a little perturbed to hear that, although I agree everybody has the right to disagree, that people are thinking that equity doesn't matter in the case of academics. Being a person who is African American, being a person who has children with special needs, being a person who lives here day to day, equity does matter. Because without equity, there is no chance of many groups of us having a chance at education, having a chance at a quality education. And I'm not necessarily talking about just appropriate, because appropriate could be basic. Like the law says basic, but having an education which is worth it, having an education where the students can go on to college, having an education where the students that choose not to go on to college still can go on to a career, but having that base, that foundation is important. And without the equity, we can't get there. So I do beg to differ. Equity does play a role in you having a quality education, or you getting the opportunity. More important, you getting the opportunity to have an education. So I'm gonna yield the time for someone else to speak.
Thank you so much, Brooklyn High Schools. So next person who has their hands up is District 20, Ms. Stern.
Good morning, everybody. I actually heard the same rhetoric from a member of my community, and I was actually same response as as Celia had. I was really very annoyed because, you know, as someone who does have children that are in gifted and talented, and as someone that has a child in special education, and I've constantly said, my child in special education, I've had to fight more just to even have the same equality of services for that child than I do for my child that's in gifted and talented. It's a constant everyday battle, you know, and just to make sure that my child is able to get the same education that's mandated, that they should be getting it, you know, just like other children. And for somebody to say that they have a problem with the term equity, when equity is something that many of us are not even getting in this system when it comes to education. The fact that we actually have to constantly fight for these mandated services that our schools are getting funding for from the government, just for our kids being in these schools. You're not technically getting funded for gifted and talented. You're getting funded for the L learners, you're getting funded for the special education learners. And I think for somebody to say that equity decreases the amount of academics, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because there's so many services out there citywide for so many kids that do not get the services. You know what I mean? And that's been the big issues. And we have a growing number of children that continue to be on the spectrum every day, that continue to have issues, learning issues, whatever it is, and the numbers increasing. And those children need help. And the system is not working for them because they're not getting the help that they need.
Thank you, District 20. Now we're going to hear from District 2, Mr. Silverman.
So I just want to say, first of all, I'm absolutely in favor of equity. I'm in favor of diversity. But I think when you look at, let's be very honest here, when you look at the rhetoric and when you look at the where the debate has been focused, certainly since Chancellor Carranza had come in, there's been an overall emphasis on always focusing on the top performing schools or the specialized high schools. And the reason for that is because when you look at those schools, when you look at the specialized high schools, when you look at the top screen schools, there's clearly there is not a lot of diversity there, and there's clearly not large numbers of African American students, large numbers of Hispanic students, and I think that reflects the fact that we are not properly educating our students, and you see that especially when you when you look at those top performing schools, which have really been the focus of the debate that we've been having. Think about all the craziness with the specialized high schools and screens and parents going crazy and just going nuts on these issues. That's because by the time when you get to, especially at the specialized high school, for example, those differences and the failure to properly educate all of our students is really magnified. It's multiplied. And then it becomes a debate about resources, things like that. But I think we really have to keep the focus on the fact that we're really not educating all our students. I agree with you. And why are we focused on those schools, for example, when and certainly I think we should improve outcomes and opportunities, and everyone should have the same access to the proper resources, study for the exams. If it's a specialized high school and gifted and talented, the exact same thing. But we really need to focus on the fact that it's all the other schools that are not properly educating students to be competitive test, certainly by the time they're eligible to take these tests or whatever exams there are to get into these schools. And I think that there's a perception, certainly in my district, and I'm not speaking for everyone. I apologize, somebody's ringing my buzzer at the same time. But there's a perception that admission standards, that the way that the Department of Education is responding to this is just simply to lower standards, figuring that's the way to increase the numbers of African American and Hispanic students at a lot of these higher performing schools. And I think that on some level does a massive disservice to those students, because it's just, again, you're not really addressing the problem. You're not properly preparing these students. You're not properly educating all of our students. So I think no one is opposed to equity and no one is opposed to diversity, but I think we really have to keep the focus on the fact that really there are a lot of schools that just aren't properly preparing all of our students, and that's a shame. And I think that needs to be addressed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Silverman. I don't see any other hands up at this time. Would anybody from would like to give updates from their district at this time? Give an opportunity to share promising practices or specific concerns or questions regarding their districts. Who would like to give a district update? Anyone? Don't be shy. Okay, Mr. Lawrence, thank you. Manhattan High Schools.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to speak. As you know, safety concern and the social motion is an ongoing issues. Those issues need to be really addressed, especially with those two issues, safety and social motion. I have heard from one of our parents in Manhattan, a school, that there was something where a child was put into into an office without notifying the parents that this was happening. That is definitely a concern. So safety and social motion component need to really be looked into. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Miss Celia Green, Brooklyn High Schools, you have your hands up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say, as Brooklyn High Schools, we did something slightly different this year. One of the things that I wanted to do is make sure that our parents, because high school parents sometimes have not been, there's occasions where we have PA or PTA leaders who have not been on a PA or a PTA before. So they really are not aware of some of the responsibilities of a PA president or of the SLT, or like they don't know how stuff goes. So instead of giving them just regs to read or just saying, okay, well, go read A660 or go read the A655, what we do is we ask, did you know questions? So did you know that the PA president is also on the safety committee, and that there are safety meetings, not just one safety meeting a year, but there's safety meetings monthly within a school? Did you know? And a lot of, honey, you'd be surprised at the amount of parents that did not know that. So we take, stuff like, for example, regs. Did you know there's a reg for that? There's a reg for practically everything in DOE. There's a chancellor's reg for a whole bunch of stuff. There's a chancellor's reg for a discipline code. There's a chancellor's reg for of course, for SLT. There's a chancellor's reg for practically anything you can think of. So we are trying to make sure that we're building the capacity of our membership so that when they go back to their schools, they can also let the rest of their PA know what's going on, and help to build that capacity, because we're not going to be in these schools forever. But the next set of parents needs to know so that there is continuity. That's all I wanted to really say.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And it was perfect segment to our next set of agenda item is FACE updates. So we have the wonderful Dr. Christina Melendez, who's the Executive Director of FACE. And we also with us, we have Jesse Mojica, who is the Senior Director of FACE. So I will turn the floor to you two.
Thank you so much, Shirley, and welcome members. Thank you so much for welcoming us this morning. I know that Dr. Melendez may have been pulled into another meeting, so I'll be speaking on her behalf if she's unable to join, but always great to be at your meeting, always great for the opportunity to give you some FACE updates. What we wanted to talk to everyone, all of the members today about was that we wanted to share a preview with everybody, and obviously over the next series of months we will come back to Cpac to share even more detail. But as you know, we have been in conversation, Dr. Melendez and myself, about FACE and about the future of FACE and changes that we're looking to make to better approach our work and better serve the families throughout New York City, throughout all of the boroughs. And wanted to, Dr. Melendez and I wanted to begin the conversation with Cpac to let you know, some of the areas of what we're thinking. So this morning, I just wanted to share with you that FACE historically over the years has been very focused on governance and policy, very focused on working with parent leadership structures, working obviously with the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council, working with our CCs, working with our President's Council, and that is very important work that will continue and needs to continue. And to deepen that work and to better support all of our councils in their work and supporting our families. But in addition to the governance and policy work, we wanted to really look at, three other areas of focus and support with respect to parent engagement and empowerment that we feel that, our office needs to expand and really focus our work equally on. And those three additional areas, and I'll just list them here, just giving everyone just an initial thought, initial insight into some of the thinking that we've been having, both, conversations with staff and internally at the department, is on homeschool partnerships, community partnerships, and parent engagement and empowerment. And let me explain those three a little bit more deeply. When we talk about community partnerships, and this is work that FACE has been involved in, but we want to deepen this work even further, we're talking about our relationships with our community-based organization and advocacy groups. I know in the past, FACE has had relationships and have had conversations and roundtables with many of our different advocacy groups throughout the city. And we want to work even more strategically and more frequently with those groups, really kind of connecting with those groups and having conversation with respect to policy, similar to the conversation that Cpac is having today on a singular issue, and really deepening that issue and receiving feedback and having that constructive conversation with us. FACE is in a position that we would want to do that even more deliberately with our CBOs and with our advocacy groups. I know that Dr. Melendez, over the few months that she has been here, has been meeting with advocacy groups and will continue to do so. And that is an area that, we are, really thinking about how to align the office to better have conversation, support, and a working relationship, and more strategic working relationship with our CBOs and advocacy groups. With respect to the homeschool partnerships, we are looking at working even more closely. One, with our parent coordinators, our school leaders, and obviously, partnership with our superintendent's offices. So there are a variety of different parent points throughout the system that we work with currently, working relationship with our superintendent's office, who are our partners, in this work with regards to parent engagement and support. And Dr. Melendez and I would like to even more deliberately have FACE work in close partnership with those respective offices and parent points throughout the system, so we can best align parent support and have a consistent, approach throughout, throughout our system with regards to parent support at the school level, and do everything we can at Central to be able to provide that support to our colleagues within the system. The third additional area with regards to parent engagement So, so we talked about before, we've had in the past, FACE has had in the past, working relationships with our FLCs, FSCs, and our parent coordinators with respect to professional development. And we'd like to continue to further that, further that in the sense that we would like to be able to not only provide the professional development or continue to provide the professional development, but really do all that we can to align the mission, the Chancellor's 4 pillars into our work and be able to, relay that and be able to work in concert with our colleagues, in the respective offices to develop, an approach that is of benefit with regards to improving parent engagement or supporting parent engagement activities and parent engagement approaches throughout our system. And obviously the governance work is work that, all of us here are very familiar with and have been a very strong partners with us throughout. And that work will continue. But, how we approach that work, how we, look at how we support our councils, the types of regulations we want to have improve upon and conversations that we want to have with our parent leaders to improve upon, our work, improve upon our overall approach to parent support, parent advocacy, looking at those rules and regulations that stand in the way and what we can do together to be able to improve upon them to make things better. I think, it's definitely work that Dr. Melendez, I, and all at FACE are looking to do. So we will be coming back to talk more extensively about how these would look, get feedback on how they would look, but wanted to give you a preview as to what we are thinking about with regards to FACE and the expansion of FACE's work. So once again, governance and policy, community partnerships, homeschool partnerships, and parent engagement and empowerment are the 4 areas that we are looking to establish within FACE and broaden the work, and also not only thinking about FACE, but also thinking about, we have family points throughout our entire system. Many of our divisions and colleagues have, family engagement personnel that we would want to work even more closely with and work closely with now. In some cases, in other cases, we need to establish even stronger relationships to help improve family engagement and family empowerment throughout our system. So wanted to preview those. Also wanted to share, Marie shared this before, and thank you, Marie, but also wanted to talk about, the Equity Working Group and Regulation 210. And as all of you know, Regulation 210 passed last December. We are in the process of implementing that regulation, which requires a couple of different steps. One step is to designate a compliance officer that would hear these cases that come before us, and work with the Equity Council to be able to deliberate and make recommendations on a judgment in the sense of like an issue that's brought before us. Is it substantiated? Is it not substantiated? And what would be, in a sense, the next step? So we are in the process of doing that. But as Marie said, there are 2 parts to that. There is the next steps with 210, but then there's the Equity Council as a whole. So the Equity Working Group was never exclusively about Regulation 210. It was, it was brought to encompass equity in so many different cases. But right now we're kind of working on 2 parallel tracks in the sense of convening the Equity Council Working Group so that those issues could continue to be discussed and worked upon, the broader issues of equity. And then singularly, the issues of next steps with 210 to continue to work on those and begin to implement those so that process can be established and we can proceed with implementing the regulation and adhering to the regulation. A few other updates. I know that I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I don't want to pass my time, but just wanted to mention just a couple more things. One is as far as informational sessions, there are going to be 2 informational sessions with regards to vaccines, so vaccine information sessions for families. that are in partnership with the DOE and the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene that will be happening next week. And flyers have gone out this morning about those, but we'll reshare those as well throughout the course of the day and in the course of the next several days. That'll happen on Monday and Wednesday. They're virtual. They are all city for everyone, all families. Having 2 opportunities for families to receive this information, both on Monday, the 14th, and on Wednesday, the 16th, March 16th. And they'll be focused on vaccine information, in particular for children ages 5 to 11. We had a similar session last December that was very well attended, and parents were able to ask 2 pediatricians many of their questions with regards to vaccines. So we definitely wanted to continue those information sessions because we saw that there was a demand for, more information from families, on this particular topic. So those will be happening next Monday and Wednesday. So we've sent information on those. And just wanted to also, I see colleagues from District 2 this week. Chancellor Banks had his latest town hall in District 2 and wanted to really thank all of the parent leaders and CC members for their leadership in conducting that town hall in the district. And we have an upcoming town hall with the Chancellor next week on Tuesday in District 7. So wanted to thank all of our parent leaders and colleagues in District 7 for all of their hard work in organizing the upcoming town hall. So with that said, I will take a pause for a moment for any questions, but once again, I wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity to share these updates with you.
Any questions for Mr. Mojica? Or comments? I don't see any hands raised or questions in the chat, but we do really appreciate you coming with the updates and informing us, everyone, families, what FACE is going to do, what they plan to do, and this will be in the process of helping to increase parent voice, to strengthen parent voice, to actually have a more say in policy decisions, which we've been asking for. Oh, we have a hands up. We have District 4. Rashida, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much, Jesse. So yeah, definitely wanted to learn more about the equity group, right? As you discussed, it's been working exclusively on the Regs 210, but need to start to address the wider equity issues. But wondering about that group and the formulation of that group.
Thank you, Rashida. So the origins of it was former Deputy Chancellor Adrian Austin. I believe it was, Rashida, in 2020, right, where parents were raising issues with respect to, I'm sorry, there was some feedback. So sorry. Raising issues with respect to when we went into the virtual space and kind of seeing that there were no protections for parent leaders with regards to attacks, or at meetings, verbal attacks or harassment at meetings. And the concern that was brought to our former Deputy Chancellor was that, for instance, we at the department have protections versus harassment. And in the parent leadership space, there are no protections. There were no protections. So I think that was the initial beginnings of that group. But the group, to your point, Rashida, the group was always interested in a wider array of issues, not only singularly the issue of 210, but also equity with regards to, a variety of different topics, one of them being access to interpretation, as an equity issue and other issues. But that was the origins of this particular working group under former Deputy Chancellor Adrian Austin. I know that this is evolving. I know that, there'll be additional conversations. This is not, a situation where there is a finite, amount of number of people working on this particular issue, but those were the origins of it. And then the issue, the opportunity to be able to address the initial issue that was raised within a regulation, 210. So then that was kind of the focus to get 210 to happen, to get that regulation to be constructed. And now we're in the process of kind of working on two parallel tracks where let's continue to have the conversation about equity issues as a whole, you know, in many different areas. But then also at the same time, let's look at 210 and ensure that everything that's in the regulation we get to, you know, that we establish so that 210 can be actualized effectively.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
There's more hands up, but we're going to have to put it on pause. Jesse is not leaving the platform, so you can either put the questions in the chat for him to answer or wait at the end of the meeting to ask your questions, because at this time we have our new Deputy Chancellor of Teaching and Learning, Caroline Quintana. Welcome. We would like to give her a well-round welcome for her first time being on the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council. And we're looking forward to having a more working relationship. So far, it's been virtual, you know, by emails, I should say. Everything is virtual. But we're going to hear her speak for the first time. And we're going to start the conversation about summer of 2022 with her. So, Miss Deputy Chancellor Quintana, you have the floor.
Thank you, and thanks for that wonderful introduction. I'm hopeful that I will get a chance to meet many of you in person, whether visiting some of the schools in your communities or here at the central offices too. And so thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been an exciting couple of months here, and I'm thrilled to be surrounded by some really thoughtful, smart people who have great ideas and a lot of energy to get things done. And part of our work is identifying what's gotten in the way. To make sure that we can remove those barriers, we can work around some of that. So I appreciate an opportunity to be here. You know, whether it was when I was doing work as a principal or when I was leading Affinity, the commitment to working with parents and parent leaders has never left me. It's an incredibly important part of making sure that we can make change in our schools, but also to make sure that we're addressing what parents want and need in our schools. So I absolutely appreciate the opportunity to be here. I know that you hopefully had a chance to either hear the Chancellor speak. I think that was last week. I'm losing sight of time here now. So hopefully you had a chance to see him speak, and then actually got to see the transcript of it on the website, because he talked a lot about his vision for transforming New York City public schools and for building trust, but also just for building, and I think, you know, you've heard it in his pillars, right? The scaling and sustaining what works, identifying, scaling and sustaining what works, and also just making sure that we're prioritizing student well-being, and noting that that's part of student success. I heard Ms. Green and Ms. Stern talk a little bit about the issues of equity. And I think you're absolutely right? We have to make sure that we have equity-focused policies, the right mindset, the right responses, so that biases and processes, including policies that we may have in place, don't continue to unfairly and unjustly marginalize students. But even so, part of my work in the classroom is making sure that we don't have educators who inadvertently may not realize it, but they have maybe thoughts about students from low-income backgrounds or students of color as broken or in need of fixing. And so that can undermine excellence and result in real harmful consequences for students. And so we want to make sure that we're using a socio and emotional and academic approach, right? So all of those pieces combined, a student first approach, and we shift away from language that talks about fixing kids to addressing adult beliefs and mindsets. So much of the work that I'm doing in this reorganization that the Chancellor talked about is about training and building capacity of teachers and leaders to address the adult beliefs and mindsets and the school and district policies to create equitable learning environments while building teacher capacity, right? To make sure that they have the right criteria in place, to make sure that they write the right pedagogical practices in place, the right resources in front of them to meet the needs of all of our students. And I think I heard, from District 2, it's Mr. Silverman, right? We met a couple of nights ago too. You're right, it's for all of our students to make sure that we push kids from where they are to where they can go next. And so that's part of the work that we're doing. And I have a great team to help me get some of that off of the ground. I know that you've heard the Chancellor talk about literacy, so certainly one of our areas of focus. You've likely seen across grades K through 2 in particular, our universal screeners. We're going to boost that up a little bit too to work with schools to make sure they know how to use the data to make shifts in the instruction, because sometimes they know how to read it, but not necessarily what to do with that. And so we're providing support on a more structured scale, making use of programs we already have. MSQI, super successful coaching program for our middle schools. ULIT coaches in some places have been incredibly successful for K2. So we're going to scale some of that to make sure that we can provide supports, and then building something for the high school as well. So that again, we're not leaving out groups of kids, but can really think about from K-12, how do we support folks to boost literacy, because it's a tool for empowerment for our young people. And then you've heard him talk about more specifically using those screeners to identify students who are not making the progress that we expect to see, to then use additional screening methods to help identify the risk of print-based learning disabilities, including dyslexia. And then now we're working with some real specialists who are well-renowned in the field, and we're opening a school for students who are identified as having dyslexia and other print-based disabilities. We'll launch that in the fall, but more importantly, we're going to be building capacity again, right? So training our teachers to know what to do, and thinking about how we can support students in all of our settings. And that goes back to what I said earlier, right? Strengthening the instructional core. If our teachers have the right pedagogical practices, have the right curricula, which is another thing that we're working on, and as the year progresses, I'll keep sharing that information with you. And they know how to engage our students in the right kinds of assessments. Another thing we're working on too, so that they really have opportunities to have experiential, problem-based learning. Then we'll make sure that we make changes in the right direction for all of us. So I know what you're really excited to hear about is summer. I will say that we have been doing a lot of planning around summer, and I'm excited. We finally landed on a name, and I know that some are going to love it and some may not, but we're not launching that yet until the actual, there will be an official release of all of the information. It is a joint production between City Hall, DYCD, SYEP, and the Department of Education. We're really excited to be able to offer opportunities for our students to get enrichment, learning support, fun, a healthy program that really supports students holistically. And for the older kids, you've likely heard already that we added more SYEP seats. We're really excited because we have a chief of career pathways. I'm pointing because she actually sits right in front of me, but a chief of career pathways who's working on more opportunities for students to have some real work readiness, opportunities. And so in real work settings too. So we're excited about that announcement. We're excited about that opportunity for our kids. We'll be adding opportunities too for students to get some extra support through tutoring and through one-on-one support with some of our student leaders, and some collaboration with colleges as well, so that any student who may have had gaps or who may just want to make sure that they don't slide, as our students often do in the summer, that they'll have those extra supports as well. And so that will all be part of the programming. And we heard your concerns about enrollment and attendance and sites, and that's all work that our teams are working on collaboratively with the folks over at City Hall. So know that when the announcement happens, we'll finally be able to publish things. And I think that's, if not happening tomorrow, it's happening in the next few days. So you'll hear about that very, very soon. But we're really excited about what we can offer this summer. I don't have much more to talk about, but I do want to be here available for questions. And I'm sure that you have questions. So I welcome any questions. And if I can't answer them in this moment, know that I want to spend some more time thinking about it, or thinking about who can help answer it, and I'll get back to you. So I'm going to put my info in the chat, but also I'm going to stay right here for questions right now. Thank you, by the way. Thank you.
No, thank you. So at this time, anyone who has questions for Deputy Chancellor Quintana? No.
If any questions come up, please don't hesitate. I put my email in the chat, So don't hesitate to email me. If there are great practices you want me to see at a school, invite me over. If there are concerns you have, invite me over. And I think my favorite thing that parents offer is ideas. Parents often have some really fantastic ideas about what would help support your students and your schools best. And so I welcome those as well. We want to make sure that we're always in communication with you. You should be hearing from us anyway. We, for any initiative that we're launching, we're engaging parents in different ways. And as I mentioned in the chat earlier, we also want you to come and do some of the activities with us. So we're hoping to have something in place by summer, and if not, certainly by the fall, more opportunities for parents to be involved in co-learning with our kids. So really excited to see you more often and to hear from you. So open lines of communication, please. Thank you.
So, thank you. We have Brooklyn High School's Miss Celia Green. She has her hands up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Ms. Quintana. I just wanted to say that I know that teaching and learning, that special education lives as a title under teaching and learning. And although I am Brooklyn High Schools and I represent Brooklyn High Schools here, I'm also a District 75 parent 4 times over, currently with 1 left in school. I wanted to know what plans or what sort of engagement I should say, is happening with D75. I'm also a member of that council, of the Citywide Council for District 75. But what engagement has been happening with them around the issues in District 75?
For asking. Oh, sorry. I think I wasn't unmuted. Thank you for asking that important question. If I'm not mistaken, I'm actually meeting with District 75 Council this evening. I don't even know what day today is. Thursday. Yes. So I'm meeting with folks this evening. So there will be an opportunity to have a conversation. And we have had, fortunately, between Christina Foti and Kettler Lusant, the superintendent, great engagement with parents, and want to continue to do that, want to build up any opportunities to strengthen what we do at D75. And one of the things we've been talking about is more opportunities to collaborate across schools through intervisits that could include parents. And so hopefully an opportunity to have parents as part of our intervisitations and intercollaborations. And so certainly we'll be talking to parents this evening, addressing some of the questions there, but making sure too that D75 has up-to-date staffing, up-to-date practices, and that the facilities are what folks need. We've been expanding our programming, so we've been adding more D75 seats across districts in the Bronx, and we want to continue to find the right spaces and the right types of programs. We're also taking a look at how it is that students are referred to D75 to make sure that it is appropriate placement, so that we can, the kids are getting exactly what they need wherever it is that they are. So certainly welcome an opportunity to talk more, but I will be at the meeting this evening.
Thank you. So we have 2 more hands. We have District 28, Jessica Zillow.
Hi, thank you so much for being here today. I have actually 2 questions, and one is, what is the status of Brilliant NYC? And also the Chancellor spoke about the expansion of Gifted and Talented, and I'd like to know what's going to happen with Gifted and Talented. I know there's expansion that's needed, but I just wanted to know what was happening, because the enrollment numbers, I think, for 1st grade, because there was no more, because the test wasn't given, the enrollment numbers for 1st grade have now impacted budgets for schools as well.
Yep, thank you for that question. I appreciate it. So the Chancellor actually gave a really great interview yesterday on New York One, where you can hear him speak about this in greater detail. And we talked a little bit about it at the District 2 meeting night before last as well. So much of that is, again, part of we're in the middle of planning and engaging with folks. And there will be a strong parent engagement component to what we'll do throughout the year, to make sure that we're building up a gifted and talented program that meets the needs of all of our students. In the meantime, what we're doing is continuing with the process that we used last year for student enrollment in kindergarten. We are going to expand, and when the chancellor makes his announcement, we'll know the number of seats, or we'll be able to share that information with you in terms of how we are expanding, what exactly that expansion is going to look like, and in what districts. And we'll, one of the things that is really, really important to us is that as we do this work over the next year, engaging with parents and the expansion already, we're going to simultaneously, and I keep saying this, and I just can't emphasize it enough, build capacity. Our teachers need very specific training on what it means to be a teacher of an advanced learning program, whether it's called gifted and talented or accelerated learning or whatever it is that we want to focus on, right? But that teachers need to know what it means to teach in these particular ways. And that training actually can be beneficial for all of our teachers, but very specifically for those programs to make sure that we are offering something that is challenging. Same thing for the leaders, making sure that there is criteria and that there are parameters for them to meet and that they know how to do that work. And then also just making sure that there's a curriculum in place for that. And absolutely will include parents in that engagement process throughout the year. I also see in the chat, students with dyslexia, yep, absolutely are committed to dyslexia. Not sure about pushing any bills. I can't answer any questions that are about policy in that way. Pardon me, but we are absolutely committed to that work. Started with the screeners, and then the more specific dyslexia screening that I mentioned to you, but we're also collaborating with Teachers College to expand the work of Promise Project so that we can get access to evaluations for more numbers of students. And we're working with some specialists on opening and incubating schools and school programs. So certainly a commitment to that work. It matters very much to all of us. I was a former literacy coach, a literacy coordinator, and a literacy teacher. And so this is an area of interest for me. And I know that reading is the way to build that path to economic security and independence for everyone. And so I want to make sure that we don't just build good readers, but we build people who love to read, because that's the pathway to learning lifelong.
Thank you. So we have a has. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
There's someone been waiting for a while to ask their question, but she announced herself before I got a chance to. We have a Deputy Chancellor of FACE, Ms. Quinta Lloyd, with us. If it's pertaining to that, sure.
Yes, I just wanted to add to what Deputy Chancellor Carolyn Quintana and the response to the question regarding GNT. We would very much like to be in conversation. We had a conversation with the Cpac chairs and executive board last month about engaging with us on specific topics. Last month, we talked a bit about summer 2022 and the summary of those responses we have collected. But I'd also like to take this opportunity to invite all members to work with us in having a conversation about the Gifted and Talented program in the next couple of weeks. I know that the monthly meetings are always pre-scheduled, but I'd like to put the request out now to have that conversation, to share your thoughts and to hear from you about the Gifted and Talented program as we continue our planning. I know that the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council is certainly our first stop for engaging in dialogue around these issues. So I definitely want to invite the co-chairs to convene the group off the monthly meeting for a conversation about Gifted and Talented.
Thank you. So District 20, been patiently waiting. Ms. Tamara Stern.
Hi, thank you. One of the questions that I had was, because I do have a child in high school, and like one of the concerns for a number of parents is the career and college readiness. And, you know, there's so many kids that are in the process applying for college. There's so many kids that are starting the process early just to have an idea of to figure out what they want to do when it comes to college. And because there's a number of kids that don't want to go to college that can't afford to, and we need to find like different alternate ways for them to figure out what they can do as next steps, because sometimes college is not for everybody, like trade schools and, you know, going to work. And that's been a concern for a number of parents. Like some people even brought up like the military, if that's the way that they want to go. But it's been a concern for a number of parents because, you know, a lot of schools don't really start the conversation until like junior year and senior year. And I think that's too late. You know, I think it should start early because there's a lot of scholarships that are available a lot earlier. And if we can't get these kids like in 9th grade or 10th grade to figure out, to have an idea of where they want to go by junior year and senior year, they don't even know. They're just picking colleges just to go. And a lot of them end up dropping out like the first year because it's not what they expected, or they weren't, really prepared to go to college. They, like, a lot of them don't know money management. They don't know how to even do their laundry. They don't know how to take care of themselves. And, and there's a lot of them are sleeping on their parents' couch, and we don't want that. We want them to be productive members of society. We want them to be part of society and be part of the economy. And so is there any way that you guys are coming up with like more, I guess, sources or resources out there so you could help us parents that actually want to do this early and not wait to junior year to do everything?
Thank you for that question, Mr. And certainly one that we're actually really excited about this. So David Banks has hired a Chief of Career Pathways, Jade Grieve, who has been fantastic and has a great deal of knowledge and information and connections to both the workforce and school systems. And so with her support, actually the two of us have been working very closely. We've been talking about beginning some of that work that you were talking about in terms of those work readiness skills, the language, the behaviors, the knowledge, even as early as middle school. Keep in mind, again, we just got here, right? And so I know you keep hearing us say that, but we're really excited about everything that we want to do. We just need to get some of these things off the ground. One of the things that we are looking at is a financial literacy curriculum, and how we embed that into whether it's advisories or social studies or other places, right? So how do we embed those opportunities for kids to learn those topics without asking schools to restructure their entire day or not offer enough periods for the other courses? So that's part of what we're doing. We're also through the summer practicing building up more seats for these work readiness opportunities. The mayor put together a council of corporate folks, and Jade has been meeting with these people as well to build relationships and really talk about what it means to offer students opportunities to practice. Her team also has computer science and college readiness. And so, as the Chancellor mentioned, we're looking at ways to restructure and reorganize ourselves so that we are doing the work that was already there better. Because it was happening in some pockets, but not necessarily everywhere. And so how do we do that work better? How do we meet them more? But absolutely open to ideas and suggestions, or even if if there are certain very specific concerns that you may have or great practices you've seen, by all means, please share those. And again, anything that we're getting off the ground, there will be parent engagement in some way. And so we want to make sure that if this is something that interests you, that we can connect you to Jade Grieve's team so that you can be part of that work as well. But we absolutely agree. If we're going to get kids on that career pathway or college pathway, we need to make sure we have the right supports in place. And I love what you said about different programs for different kids. I visited Co-op Tech last week. Amazing place. Absolutely amazing. Watched kids doing solar panels who had to learn about physics and calculus, and asked them if they had taken this kind of math in school. And they said, not this high. How did it go when they were doing it in school? Well, I had all these other things on my mind, but now that I know what this connects to, it really makes sense for me. In the welding class, the kids actually leave with multiple certifications and direct pathway to a union job, and they were practicing chemistry. They had to understand why acetylene and oxygen help make cleaner cuts, and help ensure that you're not burning yourself, and other really important things, but now chemistry made sense to them. So it was really cool to see that. And that was for students who had said, I always wanted to work with my hands. I always wanted to do this kind of work. We have those programs. How do we let people know that they exist, right? And it's not just that not everyone gets to go, but that they can have the choice to, right? That if I want to do this kind of work, I am prepared to choose. And so really, really exciting that we have some of these pieces in place. Our big ask was, how do we replicate? How do we make more available? Because as the Chancellor has said many times, there's a scarcity model. So really, really excited about some of those opportunities, building up CTE, things like that. But that's more, Jade can absolutely share more of that. And I know that she'll be announcing much of the work that she'll be doing in April with the mayor's office. So I'm really excited about some of that. So I'll absolutely take your information. And Andrea, I'll take your information as well. Great questions. Thank you both.
So we're going to take we're going to, Selena, these are going to be the last two questions because the Chancellor is expected at 11 o'clock. It's 10:55. So Rashida, then Selena.
I'll put it in the chat. I'll let the others go. I put my question in the chat. Someone please read it. Thank you.
Selena.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to ask a question about building up the arts or bringing back arts in our schools. Arts is so important. My son is a performance arts major at Curtis High School. He's going to be majoring at college in the music program. But I just wanted to know, I know academics is important. I instill in him to, be an excellent student. But arts is so important. So I was just wondering if y'all have programs, because I know about art and design. My son graduated from art and design, LaGuardia and stuff, but just in the high schools in general, to build up the arts program, whether it's performance arts, whether, that's music or theater, that's, so important because that also builds up spirit and for children to produce and be socially, emotionally well in their life. I'm just, wanted to bring that to the table.
I can't agree more. The arts are good for us socio-emotionally, but there is also research that shows that the arts, the right brain actually helps inform how well we do on that left brain. And so the arts have a great impact on how well we understand mathematics and how well we can solve problems, and they beautify our world. Right. And so incredibly important. And it's another way to engage students. Sometimes that's why kids come to school. So we are in the process of looking for a new arts director, and we'll be building up that arts program. But I'm really excited to hear that you have an interest. I know that Chancellor Banks absolutely does too. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Because my son is a musician. He's a pianist.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah,
That's beautiful. Yeah.
It's so important. Him coming home and making sure that he practices his craft is so important, as much as it's important for him to make sure he does his academics. So I just want to lift up, all artists, creativity is so important.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Rashida, ask your question. I don't see the Chancellor yet.
It was thank you. I was just really piggybacking off of Jessica Zillow's in regards to the Brilliant NYC. So recognizing that it's a new administration and new folks or whatever, but wondering what happened with all the work that was done with the Brilliant NYC, and if there's any way we can access some of that. It was a lot of meetings and engagement and feedback that was gathered and went into the discussion of the G&T programs and accelerated learning and Brilliance for All. So I'm hoping that we can try to access some of that and look over all of that as we continue these discussions, because a lot of folks were invested in these meetings and crafting these spaces to hear feedback from the school community members. That's it.
I love that idea. So yes, we are going to use the information from, or have already, but I love the idea of in the parent engagement to make sure that you also have access to that information, because right, to build off of that, to look at it. So I'm not sure if there are any issues to doing that, but I think that's a fantastic idea. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Still don't, the Chancellor can answer this, but I'm going to pose it for any of the DOE staff that's here. A question in the chat was from District 10 stating the executive superintendents that the removal of that role, they want to know when we'll get updated information when that take place, and superintendents are supposed to be, will be given using his word, more power or more leeway to make immediate decisions. When will the parents and families will know when this will take in effect? And I see Chancellor Bank is here.
So I don't know if he's on yet. Quinta, do you want me to answer that question for now?
Sure. Yes.
Oh, sure. I was just about to ask. I was unmuting myself to ask if he was actually on the call and wanted to take the question. Can't tell from here.
I see him on.
Yeah, Chancellor Banks is on.
Okay.
Actually, he'll be with you in just a minute.
Okay.
So thank you, Lizette.
So, and Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Quinta. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was saying, go ahead, Carol.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, not a problem. So the announcement of all of those pieces will be made very soon. I know we keep saying that, but will be made very soon. The one thing that you should know is that the process already includes huge parental engagement. And so any process that has to do with superintendencies and district level leadership has to include the parents. So there will be communication, engagement, you'll be part of the process. They're putting together an entire process so that it is something that is structured and consistent across the board. So you'll be part of that as well. And Quinta, they're asking for your email address. I don't know it by heart, so if you want to drop it in there.
Absolutely.
Thank you for answering that question.
And
So
Andrea
we're going-
Daniels, I took your information and I'll connect you with Jade and me. So thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to have a conversation as soon as the Chancellor says he's ready. We're going to talk about policies for summer 2022. While he's getting himself together, I would like to share my screen for a sec. I know he is listening. Talk about policies. We would like to thank him for when the budget cuts is going to start from up top. He said he's going to trim the fat and he's going to not touch schools last. He's going to avoid trying to make cuts to the schools on the ground, and we appreciate that. We share his vision of making New York City public schools the elitist in the country, but we don't want to stop there. We want to be the elitist New York City public school system when it comes to education in the world. We want to be on top. And in that case, in order to put his vision in motion, it takes money. So we're advocating to ask him to advocate to the mayor not to make any education cuts, because in order for us to make that goal, it unfortunately it does take money and resources to reach that achievement. And if cuts are done, any monies that's allocated to New York City public schools should stay with New York City public schools. Chancellor Banks is, are you ready for us to talk about summer 2022?
He'll be on in just 1 second.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your patience. He's wrapping up just another meeting.
We understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask the members, get ready to jump in. About the policies, we'll start with registration and communication. Rashida, you have your hands up?
Just wondering and hoping that this is all, I don't know, is this set in stone? Are we still trying to work and get feedback from other parents? Or do we work directly with our superintendents? I think this will all be great and we'll all agree. But if there's anything, you know, a lot of our parent leaders in our district didn't have a chance to really be engaged and discuss everything for the summer program. You know,
so Rashida, I'll be happy to I'll happy to take that question. I know you were a part of our original conversation. Yes, our conversations are ongoing. If there are other parents that we should be organizing conversations with about summer, we certainly compiled the information and shared it with our internal planning team and working group for all of their consideration as we continue to plan the logistics of summer 2022. So yes, I would love to be in touch with other parent leaders at your recommendation, or if Cpac is compiling additional thoughts and comments for us to consider, I do receive those, read them, and share them with our working group. DC Quintana is obviously part of that group, and we share them widely internally and with City Hall as we plan, and DYCD as we plan for summer. So happy to have an additional conversation formatted in the same way that we did previously, but also very much appreciate your summary memos that we can share widely in the interest of time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. So, talking to what DC Lloyd just said, the high school committee made suggestions that was handed in, that was shared with the membership, and they did share it with DC Quintana, and those are on the team for summer 2022. So we encourage our members, whenever we have the team, we know ahead of time, get feedback from your constituents so you can share it when we have these conversations with various topics. And the man of the hour is here, Chancellor David C. Banks.
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Good, good, good. Sorry to be running a little bit behind. We had a special visit here at Tweed just now with the Dominican consulate. And I'm very excited about that as we're going to try to build a strong relationship with the Dominican community. And so to have the consulate coming in, come here today from DR to meet with us was really important. So just push me back a few minutes, but I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. I know you wasn't able to listen, but before we jump into 2022, we are asking, and we applaud that, if the education cuts are made, it's not going to be at the school level or avoid at the school level, the education cuts. We really appreciate that. And we also share your vision of making New York City Public Schools the elite in the country. But we would like to go for the world, and it takes money. So we would like, if you can, to advocate no education cuts to be had to education, if that's possible, and if that's the case, all allegations to New York City Public Schools should stay with New York City Public Schools. And talk about funding, we're going to talk about summer 2022, making it fun. And how would you like this? I know you received the memo about our concerns and our recommendations. Do you want to start the conversation on registration and communication? How would you like to start the conversation?
Wherever you would like to start is fine. So let's just lean right in. We're excited about the summer. I can tell you that. In fact, there's going to be a big announcement made tomorrow at City Hall by the mayor about the kickoff for this summer. And so maybe if you have any thoughts around that, around the summer, maybe we can start there because there will be a big press conference about it tomorrow.
So Chancellor, this would be just a follow-up. We met, a smaller group of us met several weeks ago. It seems like both the co-chairs of Cpac to sort of dig in on summer, but we wanted, in the spirit of making these conversations more of a dialogue and for you to be in direct engagement with the Cpac on summer, we left this as an agenda item for you to hear directly from the members in these final moments of the meeting. So thank you for joining.
When are we going to be able to start to have meetings, like in-person meetings? I mean, is there any reason why we're not doing that yet?
I think that's a conversation to have. We haven't had that conversation. I know you want in-person meetings. We haven't had that conversation. We're looking forward to when we speak to you again to have this conversation. I know that most of the members, if we do have it, would like to have a hybrid, but we need to see if it's feasible at Tweed, if we can do a hybrid meeting.
Yeah, so my team can start to look into that, please. Mm-hmm. I've been Zooming for over 2 years now, and but if you want to get the best from me, I do that when I get to really meet people, shake your hand, see you, connect, build real relationship. This is very hard doing this in squares. We're going to do the best that we can. But I'm a people person. I connect with people. And the virtual world is not where I'm at my best. I like to look you in the eyes and hear your thoughts and feel your spirit as well. And so, masks are off now, and you can certainly wear them if you want them. But I'd love to be in a position to be in a room, even if everybody can't be there. We can Zoom other folks in. But if we can get a big group of folks who can come in, I've been meeting with principals, teachers, superintendents, everybody here at Tweed. I'd love to start having some parent meetings, Quinta. Christina. So whatever we can do, and if we can't, then, we'll just stay limited to doing it this way. But this is not the best way for me. I can tell you that.
Chancellor, we've been working, following your conversation last week with Chair Shirley Albin, we have been working on scheduling an upcoming monthly meeting here at Tweed and identifying that date on your calendar and theirs. So absolutely being responsive to that request and also in accommodating the need for hybrid for the members.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So I am going to put Randy on the spot because it has to do with this first registration and communication. We were informed that you received our concerns and policy recommendations. There was an item on there that was not mentioned regarding communication, so I'm going to ask Randy to say it verbally.
Thank you, Shirley. It was accountability. So many parents had issues and serious complaints about summarizing last year. And we do understand that it was planned during the pandemic, but many schools and districts didn't have effective programs. So in my opinion, time is the absolute worst thing that you can waste because you can't get it back. And when you have children who are failing or they fall behind or they have serious deficits, time is crucial. So we'd like for an accountability point person to handle issues in real time for the summer programs. So we don't have to wait until after the program ends and then everyone goes back and looks and says, oh, what did we do wrong? How can we improve it next year? But the time was lost this year. So we don't want that to happen. We want there to be parent leaders able to go in and tour the schools and see what's happening, and that what we're actually being told is happening is actually being done. So if there are issues,
yes,
contact someone and they can look into it and make changes.
Right. Well, that point person will be Camille Joseph Varlak. So you please make a note of her name. Anita, somebody, if you put that up in the chat. I don't think Camille is on this call on Zoom. I don't believe it.
No, Camila is not on this Zoom, but we are also working together to identify someone that an additional member of her team to support her in that effort. And I will finalize and share that information, certainly.
Yeah, she's the quarterback for the summer programming. And of course, you don't do that by yourself. Of course, you have a team. So we can work with her to figure out who should the point person be when the parents have issues or concerns and things that we need to address in real time. I completely agree with the comment that was just made. You shouldn't have to just run through the whole summer and then say, okay, now tell us what you thought of it at the end when nobody's responding and making adjustments in real time while it was actually going on. But one thing that is happening now, in fact, when I'm at 11:30, I have another Zoom with City Hall. They're spending a lot of time trying to get this summer right. By the way, what do you all think of the name Summer Spark? Don't everybody speak at once.
Come on, membership. You could use your emoji, thumbs up.
Summer Spark.
Angela Torres from District 8 likes it. We have one like.
I wanted to use Summer Soaring, but they said that was too much like Eagle Academy, so we can't do that. That was gotta go with something else, unless somebody else has a great idea. It looks like Summer Spark is going to be the term. I wasn't blown away by it, but we're going to make it we can. We asked about 100 people, and
so, just to read back from the chat, Maddie Gonzalez says, so does Sabrina Singer. Tamara Stearns said,
how do you spell
I don't think it's really a word. It's more like a sound. If somebody can correct me. Tamara Stearns says it sounds like a basketball team. I think actually there is a women's basketball team named the Spark. Am I right? Chancellor Banks? Yes, right. Cecilia says that sounds great. Rashida Brown also has a comment about virtual meetings, which I'll come back to, but I want you to know that I saw it. As Jessica also says, summer swagger. Jessica, I will have you know that was on a list for our consideration yesterday. So you probably are in. There are a couple other people that thought that was a good name as well. And Rashida Brown also says she liked Summer Rising, and Nicole Rivera says that she liked Summer Maskless.
Summer Maskless.
Oh, thank you.
Maskless.
Thank you, Deputy Chancellor Lloyd. But thank you. Our board can read off the comments. Randy and Jimmy and Lourdes can read off the comments from our membership, and feel free to also raise your hands because this is a dialogue of conversation. Part of the recommendation was centralized registrations, which I see that is taking effect if you have that point person. So someone or everybody from the DO staff, central district, and at the schools can point to answer questions regarding Summer Spark if we're staying with that. The superintendents and the DLTs.
What about Summer Rising 2.0? I just thought of that.
That's all right. That's all right.
I like Summer Rising. If we have to add the 2.0, I think that's okay. What everybody else thinks.
I'm just curious, but I don't want to hold it. Let's keep moving. We got
yes.
Summer up.
What did you say, Jimmy?
Randy put in summer success.
I like that. Summer up.
Yes, and the executive director put in summer up.
Awesome. So communications, the superintendents and the DLTs, did you read out that recommendation when it comes to registration and communication? We said that it should be in charge and identifying viable locations within their districts, and things to consider is air conditioning, access to parks, close to transportation and capacity. Are we in agreement with that?
I think we are broadly. There are a lot of people that are part of these meetings, and there are a lot of things that are that are part of consideration of where the locations will be, including, we're working closely with DYCD and a lot of the community-based organizations, which are also going to be providing a lot of the services as well. We're trying to find a sweet spot that works really for everybody, but I certainly got all of the recommendations, and they're going to be part of the conversations that I'm having with the mayor's office in a little while.
So under this topic, I think this one is important when families are sending more than one student to Summer Spark. I'm going to stick with that for today until we come to a conclusion on what is the name is going to be. That sometimes their siblings are sent to other districts, even other boroughs, for acceptance for summer school. And this is a hardship for a lot of the families when they have to go, especially to a different borough to participate in summer school. So we would like to make sure that, that they have preference to being in one location.
Yep. I think that also makes a lot of sense as well. And so let me, I'm not offering up any final decisions or anything today. Other than to tell you that I got it, and I'm in agreement with that in principle. And unless there was some other reason why we shouldn't do that, I like that idea.
So transportation, anybody has any, please raise your hands or put it in the chat. This conversation is for all of us. You all were given the policy recommendations. So we're going to move on into transportation. And this really affects quite a number of people, but it really affects students with other abilities, with the buses and etc. Our recommendation is that the summer school site should plan to accommodate students with disabilities and needs regarding class size and grouping according to functional academic level to the best of their ability to maximize the quality of teacher and student interaction.
Okay, I like that. Yep.
Anybody else who would like to add to the transportation? I'm not going to read off the recommendations. Everyone received them. Anyone who wants to add to any of these topics, please feel free to add in, jump in the conversation. Francis, please, you have the floor. District 25.
Hi, Chancellor. Good morning. I just have a question. Our money is going to be given to students for Express Bus for a safer transport to school.
I believe so. Yeah, those are some of the details that have been working out. We've been working out. But yes, I don't think, transportation issues are not going to be an issue. Kids are going to have, the Metro cards or whatever it is that they need to get back and forth.
Thank you. Any other recommendations or concerns anybody from the membership would like to raise in regards to transportation? Okay, she asked it herself. Lourdes, you have the floor. Bronx High School.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Good morning, Chancellor Banks. Would the yellow buses for the students that will be, transported by yellow buses, will that be in place, specifically set up, that there is no issues whatsoever where students will be left waiting for a bus or something of that sort and they don't get picked up or dropped off in places where they aren't supposed to be dropped off, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Buses have always been an issue. And we're working very hard to make sure that they're not an issue this summer. So we have heard all of these issues and concerns, and we're working hard now to try to be much more prepared for this summer, for sure. Absolutely. Quinta, by the way, who else is from our team that can respond to some of the questions that get raised here as well? These are all very pointed questions, very specific issues and topics. But is it just me, you, Christina?
Currently, DC Quintana had to leave the call for another engagement. I can speak to some of the planning around Lourdes's question for transportation, specifically that, again, this question was raised in our earlier conversation around and I think it was Lourdes who brought it up at the time, around things that we should consider around summer transportation. As I mentioned before you joined, Chancellor, we did share all of that feedback with the summer working group, and Camille, who you mentioned, and others on the team have been working very closely with our Office of Pupil Transportation to avoid, to remedy and avoid and consider all of the challenges that were had for last year's transportation. So yes, it has been thoughtfully considered. The group is working specifically on those issues.
Thank you. Ms. Green from Brooklyn High Schools, you have your hands up.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chancellor. I just wanted to ask this question. Although I'm Brooklyn High Schools, I'm also a D75 mother. Our D75 children and students in inclusion usually end up having to go back to the D75 school in the summer, although a lot of their typically developing peers at the gen ed school which they attend are having summer sites and a summer school. Is it possible, I asked this last year and they allowed it last year, is it possible to have a policy going forward that the children and students that are in inclusion in 75, meaning that they have D75 supports, but they're in a general education class all day, every day for the time that they're in school? Again, all day, every day. Can they, if their specific school, gen ed school, offers a summer program, can they attend that summer program as opposed to going back to the main site of the D75?
You know what? That's a great question.
That is a great question. I'm sorry, Chancellor.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying. I want to make sure that you got that, because we probably have to follow up on that. I don't know that that's come up. Yeah, I didn't see that in the document. That's fine.
I think that I have to say, Celia, if you could share your email with me in the chat, I will definitely get you an answer to that question, because it did come up recently and I'm just not as studied on the answer, but there have been, it was an issue raised and someone was working specifically on D75 supports and students for summer programming.
All right, thank you.
Before I call on Mr. Leonard, District 2, I just saw, so I get this feedbacks from the chat regarding Summer Sparks. It's
I
that it
just want to
might be.
represent 75 before I can't represent no more one day, okay?
Who's she talking to? Okay, so Sparks might trigger the Bronx fires. So that might be being in consideration. And someone had notified me that that is a I guess I just got to say it's a porn star name, so maybe want to reconsider using Summer Spark. So you may want to reconsider. I didn't ask how they know that, but so I just wanted to put it out there. Put that out there.
Got it.
So I see Andrea. After Leonard, then Andrea can speak. I see her keep coming in and out of so she must be having difficulties with her internet connection. But Leonard, you have the floor.
Sure, Chancellor. I just wanted to know because it seems to me we have a great city. We have a real huge city bureaucracy. Is there any push? Can we get any push to have internship opportunities for our students, especially those in the high school grades? Because I see millions of jobs always being advertised, and we have agencies that specialize in everything from finance to transportation, even education, and those are wonderful internships opportunities, and we're really not having a resource that we're taking advantage of. Is there any way to kind of create internship opportunities or a list of opportunities or even some sort of a warehouse accumulation of things that might be available specifically for high school kids? And then a way to also, just because sometimes also I know one of my sons did an internship in a municipal thing and needed a working paper. So can we have a process to maybe, kind of accelerate that or make that an easier process as well? So.
Yeah, all great points. Well, you should just know that the opportunity for internships, connecting with the business community is one of our most major priorities. We refer to it here as our North Star. That's where we're going. I hired a woman here named Jade Grieve, Grieve, and she is the chief of Career Pathways. What we're doing is we're putting the whole high school experience for kids. We're looking for every high school student to graduate having already had an internship, an externship, some kind of an experience, summertime during the school year, where they have an opportunity to work for an investment bank, for an architectural firm, in the fintech industry, biotech industry. We want to provide as much exposure to our kids as we possibly can. This chancellorship is not going to simply be about trying to get math and reading scores to go up. We want to give kids real opportunities to be engaged. And a big part of that is going to start this summer. As you heard the mayor announce, we're going to have 100,000 jobs available, 100,000 jobs available for our kids this summer. It's the biggest summer jobs program ever. And it's meant to put kids in positions where they have an opportunity to get jobs, real jobs, where they get exposure to the real world of work. Not just flipping burgers. And although flipping burgers has meaning as well. I did that for 2 summers, okay? So, but I want them to also imagine the possibilities of what it could be to work in the 21st century economy, which is a rapidly changing workplace. And so that's what the summer is meant to be. And as we go into the next school year, you're gonna be hearing about all kinds of opportunities for our kids, particularly at the high school level, although it is going to have programming that goes all the way down even into elementary school, that's getting them ready all the way through. When I gave my speech last week, I said, I want to get away from just having kids do the routine of going to school. They have to know why they go to school in the first place. And the ultimate goal has to be about college and career. And everybody's not going to college. And those that are going to college, if they've had internship experiences, they do even better in college. And those that are not going to college, we want them to get certifications. We want them to have industry standards where they can come out and get a good job that puts them on the path to economic prosperity, where they don't have to, they can get off of mommy and daddy's payroll. That's what we owe them. And that's what we're going to be doing. So thank you for that question. That's where we are going. Huge body of work around that.
Thank you, Chancellor. So Leonard accelerated us to curriculum and programming for the summer. But I would like to, I think Andrea does represent District 75 as a Cpac member, and I think she want to
now
speak to this.
Yeah.
I know you have to leave, but I
want to say this as well. This is a very interesting phenomenon to me, right? Because I know that the first time that I came on here, the very first moment that I had, I didn't realize I was being live streamed. And like by the time I got from my car into my office, they were showing me on TV in my car like 5 seconds earlier. We just brought up the word Summer Spark, and it's already been given to Chalkbeat. So you all should just know this is gonna change the dynamic of how I even engage here, because if what I'm saying here is just going directly to the press, then this is not a real parents advisory committee for me. This is not how I work. Parents advisory committee is supposed to be all of us sitting and talking, and we exchange ideas and we brainstorm things, and then we figure out what we want to present. But apparently in this format, this is working in a way that the moment it comes out of my mouth is going directly to the press. That's not what I'm looking for. They'll probably put this on the news, right? We're going to have to move and work very differently because this becomes a different organization, and this is not the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Committee. If the rules of engagement are everything you say, we're directly giving it to the press in real time. It means that I will, when I come on, if we're going to have to do it this way, you're not going to hear much from me. I'm going to give you the most bland answer. There won't be real answers to anything. Because if everything I'm saying is just going right to the press, that's not the way that we can work and have authentic conversation amongst each other. So I'd like for you all to, even as I'm leaving, because I've got to jump on another call, to help me figure out how do we do this differently, where you can really be, like I've got a teachers advisory committee that I meet with every month. I've got a principals advisory committee. None of the stuff that we talk about goes to the press. It's a group of people, and we work and we brainstorm and we figure things out. That's not apparently what this is, which is a little problematic for me, I have to tell you. But I would love if the leaders here could figure out a different way for us to do this. When I'm ready to talk to the press, I have no problem talking to the press. But I didn't expect that I might as well just invite NBC and Chalkbeat and Politico and everybody else just to be sitting in the meeting, because apparently that's what's happening. That does not make for a good Chancellor's Parent Advisory Group. So let's figure out how we can do it differently, where we can have real authentic conversation with each other, where it's trusted, and let's work that way. I don't run scared of the press or anybody else. It's just that sometimes if you want to have real talk, that's not what you do right up front. So I do have to run now. I'm sorry that I have to jump, but I am very interested, as I said, Quinta, and to the leadership here, of actually framing a different way for us to do this, preferably in person, without it being taped. And just let's talk, have real talk. And then we can come out of it and say, what do we want to share with anybody else? But let's have some real agreements around how we want to do that, right? To me, that's what trust is about. And when I talk about parent engagement and how much I deeply believe in that, I believe in it from the perspective of trust and integrity and all of us working together. But if we're not going to have that, then we got something different. I'll still be here, but it'll be a very different Chancellor that you see that shows up. So I've got to run now. In the meantime, thank you very much, everybody. And I appreciate the input that we did get.
I think he cut himself off. He'd have to leave. So we'll take that in consideration, because I know, and traditionally, when it was in person, the press was invited. This always has been how the Cpac has the traditional meeting. That's why we ask for additional meetings off the monthly meetings with the Chancellor, because it's always been open to the public. Even when we were in person, it was open to everyone, including the press. They're there at that conversation. So this is so you have a better understanding why we always asking for additional meeting with the Chancellor to have the conversation off the public eye, to really have in-depth conversation. So we're going to move on to the next piece, and we'll have these conversation offline in regards to our monthly meetings as they're going forward with the membership, and see what they how they would like to handle this. Now we're going to have UFT parent and community liaisons who we work very closely throughout the city. First, we're going to have up is the Director of Community and Parent Engagement for the UFT, Nicholas Cruz.
Good morning. Good morning. That's a tough and awkward follow through, but I'll try to do my best. Good to see familiar boxes on the screen. I feel like I'm back at one of my community meetings, but I just want to say, to the parents, grandparents, guardians, and really the leaders of this great city, our original first responders, right? So I want to just thank y'all and be thankful to be in the company of so many great advocates for change, examples of leadership and dedication for our New York City school children. I was going to tell the Chancellor thanks, but thank you to the DOE staff and Deputy Chancellors that are on, and to Chancellor Banks, right? Congratulations on his new post. As we all know, he's been doing this great community and family outreach for a long time, and for as long as I could remember. And he moved from a smaller classroom to now, right, a bigger classroom. And we wish him and his team luck on this journey. Cpac, to the Cpac committee, thank you very much for the dynamic work that you all do, what you stand for and what you do. We appreciate the invitation, the developing partnerships that are continuing as we continue this work. My name is Nicholas Cruz, and I'm the director of the Community and Parent Outreach Department for the United Federation of Teachers. And I'm also the director of our anti-bullying program, BRAVE, building respect, acceptance, and voice through education. And I'm really excited to be here and share in the positive vibes that are going back and forth. And on behalf of President Mogul, which I hope to have before this esteemed committee in the upcoming months, and all of the leadership at the UFT, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for being that unwavering, no-nonsense, outspoken group of organizers, families that continue to keep a strong organization like the UFT on point and on notice. As we get closer to the light at the end of this very long journey, we know that we are not there yet. And we would be nowhere near this mark without the partnership and continued collaborations of all of the leaders on this call and those that couldn't make it. As Director of Community and Parent Outreach, one of my main responsibilities with the support of my team, the Parent Liaisons, is to continue building on those strong relationships on a citywide level. We have signature events like the UFT College Fair, which is coming up in the spring. Last year, we were blessed to have over 15,000 students virtually take advantage of valuable information and resources from the over 100 colleges, including historically Black colleges and universities that attended. In the upcoming months, as we start to feel more comfortable about outdoor events and just public events in general, each parent liaison will host book giveaways as we launch Reading Opens the World campaign. We'll have more information on that and details as we launch in certain communities and we do other outreach events. Now, before the Christmas break last year, the hype was about trying to lower class sizes. We signed petitions. We asked CECs to update their resolutions, much to raise the consciousness, not just of the politicians, but of our families, right? Our communities, our neighbors. That fight continues today, right? If you have not signed a petition, if you have not gotten information and you need more information, I beg you to reach out to one of our parent liaisons in your borough to have them speak at your next PTA meeting, parent coordinator meeting, whether it's a virtual thing or in person. We want to continue to help educating our families on this very important issue. Together we can make this happen. And the name of that campaign is #OurKidsNeed. #OurKidsNeed. Last month, you guys all heard from our very talented Manhattan parent liaison, Mr. Rob Robinson, and all of the great things that he's doing in the borough. Next, you'll hear from some bad sisters that are organizing in a neighborhood near you, right? The other members of my team by way of Brooklyn, Staten Island, and Queens, respectfully. Which leads me to talk a little bit about the Bronx. And I'm happy to see my Bronx peeps out there. And hopefully you'll be happy to know that we do not have someone that has filled that position in the Bronx. It's a slow coming out process on getting that filled, but we are working on it, and we are working on trying to continue our Bronx Parent Conference in person, citizenship clinics as we had in the past, and a lot of other outdoor in-person outreach events that will definitely keep you all posted. In closing, I'd like to leave you with a quote I borrowed from the notorious RBG. Women belong in all the places where decisions are made. Let me say that again. Women belong in all of the places where decisions are made. It shouldn't be that women are the exception. Okay, with that, I want to wish you all a happy and blessed Women's History Month, and may peace come to our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. All right, thank you very much for having us as a team, and we look forward to the continuing collaborations between all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. So up now, representing for Brooklyn, the Parent and Community Liaison, Tessa Wilson.
Thank you so very much. And yes, Brooklyn virtually is in the house. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I think of how many times I've sat on the sidelines at the gallery at Tweed and got a chance to get to see and know all of you. And I look forward to when we can do that again in person. But I want to share about some of the work that I'm doing here in Brooklyn. Of course, I can be reached at twilson@uft.org. Many of you already have my personal information, so please feel free to reach out. I've got a revamped newsletter that I've been sharing a lot of information with you, and I look forward to you signing up and getting a lot of that information regarding some of the events and some of the happenings here in Brooklyn. And we've got an upcoming virtual Lobby Day, Brooklyn. Come get on the virtual Lobby Day bus with me next Thursday. If you reach out to me at twilson.org, our theme is Show Me the Money. So we're asking our legislature to please not cut the budget, but to deliver on behalf of the students and families of New York City. We're also asking if you please be so kind as to wear green. It is our solidarity color for the green dollars that we're asking for our legislature to give us. So if you'd reach out to me, I'd love to have you sign up, and we have a specific Zoom meeting just for parents and elected officials to talk about our demands for next Thursday's Lobby Day. And also, I want to share coming up April 30th at Boys and Girls High School, right in the middle of Brooklyn, we're going to be doing a family and information fair outside on the track. So we're going to have a lot of resources for you and some unspoken surprises. I'm not going to drop all of them yet, but if you meet me at Boys and Girls High School, April 30th, we've got something coming for you. And This month, on the 19th and the 26th, I'm doing my March Money Madness, financial literacy with our expert, financial advisor, Esther Jordan. We'll be talking about the psychology of money and basic budgeting skills. So if you'd be so kind as to reach out to me, I'll share with you. It's going to be an open Zoom meeting for our parents in Brooklyn. Of course, the rest of the city, you're welcome, but this is geared toward Brooklyn so that we can get our March Money Madness on. And so again, I want to thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in person in the room when we're able to do that again. And I'm going to turn this over to my other liaisons. As Nick said, we are a group of some serious sisters who get the work done. And Rob is missing, but trust me, he's on the sidelines cheering us on. Thanks all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Next up is Queens. We have Delcy Rodriguez representing the borough. She's the parent and community liaison for the well-diverse, upcoming, strong borough. I'm going to have to represent Queens. Delcy, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I miss going to Tweed and getting all this information in person. Thank you so much for the invitation. I just want to tell you a little bit about what we do here in Queens. Of course, a little bit of everything. We have empowerment, education, advocacy, and organizing opportunities for everyone. There's the upcoming Parent Academy, as Nicholas touched upon, Brave, a workshop full of resources in regards to bullying and the information that parents, students, and communities need. We have Dial a Teacher, where students can actually call an actual teacher for homework help in over 13 languages. I don't know about you on the panel. I have a 17-year-old that still tells me that's not how my teacher taught me how to do it. So I encourage her to call Dial a Teacher so she can get a teacher to work with her. We have a upcoming Queens Parent Conference in May that is open to everyone. There's also a Queens Parent Committee. If you'd like to join, please send me an email. I will send you an invitation. Also, FYI, there's a citizenship clinic coming up at our central office at the end of April, which is open, of course, and free to everyone. But again, if anyone needs workshops, information, please do not hesitate to contact me at your service. And I'm glad for the invitation. I hope everyone has an amazing day and a great rest of the week. Thank you.
Thank you, Delcy. So last but not least, hailing from Staten Island, Marie Rodriguez.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Being last is always a little difficult, right? Because everybody steals all the good stuff and you're sitting here saying, okay, what am I going to mention? First off, I want to thank everybody at Cpac for giving us the opportunity to come on, say hi. You could put a face with a name and know that we are here supporting your work on a monthly basis. As Dulcie and Tessa said, I can't wait till we are all able to see each other in person. And I know that time is coming soon. So a couple of the things that I'm excited about that's coming up for Staten Island. I know Staten Island is sometimes the forgotten borough, but we're here, okay? And I'm here rallying the parents and trying to get them on board to organize themselves and talk about issues that are important to them. So upcoming May 7th, I'm very excited to say we are having the Staten Island Spring Parent Conference. I am looking forward to offering topics that will speak to parents across age groups, from parents that have early childhood learners to special education parents. We're excited that our borough office has moved. We're in a brand new location, and we are going to be able to host our conference in our own space. So it's going to be like welcome parents to the UFT space. Even though it's a Staten Island conference, the topics will not be Staten Island specific for every workshop. So I welcome, you want to take a trip, come see some deers because we're surrounded by the woods. Take a trip and spend the day. I put my information in the chat. Please feel free to contact me. And when registration opens, I'll be happy to let you know. One of the other things I'd like to share with you, in addition to all the wonderful programs that we all do citywide or borough specific, I also have a special education parent committee. We've been meeting now for a little bit over 4.5 years. We got a little sidetracked during the pandemic, as did everyone in life, but we're back on board. We've been meeting again since November. And I have to tell you, I have a fantastic group of parents who meet with me monthly. It's geared towards District 75 students, but we encourage all parents, including our District 31 parents, to be a part of the conversation, because that's what we want to teach our children, right? We want to teach our children inclusion and equity in all parts of the school. Our next upcoming meeting is March 17th at 11:30, and we are going to be hosting a presentation by Adapt Community Network. If anyone is interested, please reach out. I'll send you the invite. We would love to have you there. And again, thank you so much for your time. It was great to meet you all. And I want to thank my colleagues who are here with me today, because we may be a tiny group of folks, but we work hard. And just in response to the chat, it is a virtual meeting, so there is a Zoom link. If anybody would like to attend, Ms. Daniels, reach out to me and I will send you an invite. Thank you so much, and you guys enjoy your day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for Tessa, Delcy, Marie, and Nick. For Manhattan is Rob Robinson. Tessa put his email address again in the chat. He was here last month. That's why he's not speaking this time around. He introduced himself in our last month's meeting. Anybody has any questions for the fabulous ladies that we have here along with Nicholas? Well, we would like to thank y'all for Selena has her hands up.
I don't have any questions. I just put it in the chat. I just want to thank Marie, and me and Marie work very closely together with parent engagement and parent involvement. I just want to thank her. She is truly amazing and very supportive, to all the parents, and Staten Island thanks her. I just wanted to let you know, Marie, thank you for all that you do for Staten Island. And I look forward to continuing working with you.
Thank you, Selena. And I think Selena sums it up. We all appreciate the UFT and ladies and gentlemen working with the parents, forming a relationship with the parents in the communities in each of these boroughs. It's important that us stakeholders work together to accomplish the goals for our children. Any final thoughts on that before I want to address any conversation? Miss Wilson.
Thank you for recognizing me. I wanted to let you know, for those of you who know, we've been joined by Mr. Anthony Harmon, who happened to have been our former director. And there's no way that I could not let him be on this line, because I know how many of you know him. And what I appreciate about Mr. Harmon, about Mr. Cruz, and especially Mr. Mulgrew, is that they've all been very supportive of the work that we've done with parents. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And it's never been a time that they've not had an idea, or that you've not come to us that they've not made it happen. And I have no shame in saying Mr. Harmon indeed is the hardest working man at the UFT, and he is on the line. So I just had to shout him out when I seen that he showed up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hartman. We have a few minutes. Can you take 2 minutes to introduce yourself to those who does not know you? And we welcome you and thank you for being on our platform this morning and joining your colleagues.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to address you all. My name is Anthony Harmon. I was the former Director of Parent and Community Engagement at the UFT for, I want to say, about 10 years. The last 3 years, I've since moved on to a new position, and that's Director of Staff at the UFT. But I just wanted to, pop in and say hello to some old friends and to get acquainted with some new ones. Our parent and community liaisons, Tessa and the others, are doing any and everything that they can to make sure that, our parents are kept informed, because I always say, when we know better, we do better, right? That's always our goal at the UFT. And if we can help to bring in some workshops and to help, our parents and our communities, that's what we're here for. So I look forward to partnering with continuing to partner with our parents and our Cpac and CECs and our parent leaders all across the city. And I hope to see you at other events. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And thank you for gracing us with your presence. Again, we're always in favor. We're working with our stakeholders. We do have strong ties with each and one of you and other fellow UFTs, the teachers. Again, it takes a village, right, to get things done. And so you have been very instrumental, also helping to empower parent voices and families and communities. So at this time, I know that we're going to have, I'm going to share my screen one last time. So our next Chancellor Parent Advisory meeting is Thursday, April 14th. We would like to wish those who celebrate happy St. Patrick's Day. Spring is coming upon us, so we are really welcoming spring, new beginnings, new administration, and of course, it's Women's History. We have a lot to be thankful for, to celebrate. Women's history always showed throughout the history. We have a lot to offer, continue to offer, and we should be celebrated every day. On that note, there's conversations that we need to have, and on the way we meet, if we would like to change our format, I just want, it's been the tradition way before most of us were here. Cpac was in person. Cpac meetings, the monthly meeting was open to the public. The prior board, the prior membership said, because we're in the pandemic, to streamline, so the general public is able to see our meetings since it's virtual. So this is a discussion we need to have, but I just remember, I would like to, remind everyone, we've been advocating for more meetings behind, off our general membership meetings. That's another reason why, again, fill out those questionnaires, and we'll tell everybody to enjoy the rest of their week and have a wonderful weekend. And anyone who wants to make a final comment before we ask someone to make the motion to bring this meeting to adjournment, this is your chance. DC Lloyd, you can unmute and state your comment in the chat.
So I just wanted to say I look forward to continuing the conversation with the co-chairs and other members of Cpac, and I appreciate all of your time. Just in response to Rashida's early comment about the time spent here and all of your advocacy on your other parent leadership groups. I recognize the support that you provide to our team and providing a voice for parents as well. So I look forward to continuing the conversation and to our April meeting.
So thank you very much, DC Lloyd. We're always glad to have you here with us, and thank you for working with us on the scene and behind the scenes. And she was instrumental with Dr. Melendez to get the conversation about summer 2022, our suggestions and our policies, and sent it to the Chancellor to ensure that our voice is heard.
Mm-hmm. And just a reminder, we'll be reaching out to do the same for gifted and talented.
That's right. Thank you. Andrea, you have your hands up? Andrea,
yeah, hi.
Dan
Can
Leonard.
everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just have a comment. How come it's such a big deal about the press being at a Cpac meeting when you, like you said, and like I know also from attending Cpac for years, it has always been like an open meeting, open to the public, and sometimes the press do pop up. And he say all this about parent leadership and everything, how are you going to communicate with us if this is the response? I mean, I don't understand.
Thank you. We appreciate your comment towards that. District 2, Leonard Silverman.
Yeah, I'll follow that up. I agree with that, what was just said, but I also just want to add, if you guys are meeting, or if the executive board meets with the chancellor, separately, is it possible to rotate some members once in a while? I mean, I'm not saying I need to be one of them, but can we just rotate, just have occasionally a member who's not on the executive board sit in on one of those meetings, or anyone who's interested in, maybe if there's a topic that you guys are going to talk about that's close to the heart of any one of my colleagues, that they can sit in on it.
Okay, thank you for that comment, Leonard. So I'm gonna, so we only met with the chancellor once in person. That was to welcome him prior to that January 6th. Everyone got that letter, and we have advocated to meet off the public platform to discuss policies so we can have frank conversations. That is, and he was committed to that. So remember, when we having conversations, so we have not had any off conversation with the chancellor outside of this public meeting space. So we've been requesting that, and even prior to him, the chancellor before, to have additional meetings off the monthly public platform, because this is traditionally more for the public than for ourselves, right? And to bring conversations from our prospective districts and borough needs and concerns. I'm not going to keep doing all the talking. Ms. Green is next, then followed by Rashida, Brooklyn High Schools.
I actually was raising my hand to make the motion, so let Rashida go first, so I can make the motion after that to close.
Thank you, Ms. Green. She like, let's go. Yeah, I wanted to off of what Leonard said, and Andrea, and so as I used to be a Cpac executive board member, and I do know the challenges to actually get those schedules together to meet with the chancellor. Like Shirley said, the previous chancellors as well, Carranza and Misha Ross Porter. The issue still is the executive board meeting with them versus the voting members. So, with all of the challenges with our schedules, it's just, I think if we can try to figure out ways for the voting members to meet with the chancellor and staff privately, so everything is not on Front Street for the public viewing, but recognizing that these meetings have always been open to the public and press and everyone has been involved. I think the voting members would like the opportunity, as to Leonard's point, to try and be privy to those meetings if they ever happen, right? And I gotta say, if they ever happen, because I know the challenges with everyone's schedule with getting them on. But I know that we're working on trying to do better. But I think the Chancellor Banks now knows that the risk, or not the risk, that they're live stream. And what he shares is going straight to whomever is listening. Don't really know how to mitigate that, but hope that we still get, the Chancellor in all of his glory, right? Like just all of his honesty and full transparency. It's difficult. We'll figure it out more. Next thing before we close, or whoever else may have something to say, wondering how we will continue this discussion as voting members in regards to moving forward and trying to have more meetings. Like how can we all discuss this a little more? So we can do that by email, I guess, trying to follow up with each other. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Rashida, there's no other hands up. Any other comments? Okay, so
Madam Chair, there is one in the chat from D10. A question in regards to school
Can you
trips.
read it, because I'm not looking?
Okay.
Could you please read it?
Yeah, so D10, Maria had a question in regards to school trips outside of the tri-state area. So perhaps for DC Lloyd.
When the question says Tri-City, are we are we talking about the 5 boroughs or the tri-state, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut? I just want to clarify.
Maria has her hand up. So Maria, you can unmute and clarify your question.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Maria.
So the question is in regards of school trips outside of the city, tri-city and tri-state area, like, for example.
You're breaking up some, Maria. I couldn't hear all of your question.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. The question is about school trips and let's say going outside of New York City for seniors for chess, that it's in another state. So how is this? Is there any new guidance that have been showed up since the lift of the mandates of the masks as well on the 27th? I don't know if you could expand on that a little bit.
What I can do is reconfirm on our guidance and get back to you. I want to be sure that my response is both timely and accurate. And I know there have been a number of changes around guidance and traveling with mandates. So I will certainly follow up.
Okay. Before I give the floor to Celia to make the motion to adjourn the meeting, I would like to remind everyone to remember the Chancellor Parent Advisory Council is all 38 members. Its questions should say we, not what Cpac is going to do. We are Cpac, every single last one of us. So just keep that in mind. If we want to make something to get done, it's a we thing, is a teamwork. It's not all on the executive board. It's not on me and Randy. It's not on Rashida. It is not on people. It's on all of us to make things happen and speak up and represent our districts and our boroughs. So on that note, I will also fill out the monthly questionnaires. So some of these questions, if you send them out early, we can send it to DOE and they can have the answers ready or have the answers before this meeting. So Celia, Brooklyn High Schools, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we adjourn this Cpac General Membership Meeting for March until April 14th, 2022.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you, Andrea, District 75. So at this time, our meeting adjourned. It's 12:07 p.m. and have a really good day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and you know how to reach us. Social media, email, website, District 30, all 38 members, or for President's Council. There's multiple ways. Reach out to us, everyone, and help each other and support one another. So have a good one.
Thank you, everyone.
Good day. Thank you.
We still have someone on the line.
I know. I'm saying thank you for stopping the recording.
As well as the live stream. We need to stop the live stream.